Hello everyone and welcome to the Ghost Layers Report. This is me always, is Ryan, here in Tokyo, Japan. So, last week we had finally released the Japanese Parliament, known as the Diet here in Japan, have released their report on Fukushima. This comes after many hours of public hearings and over 1,000 interviews with people involved in the incident, including workers, regulatory people, and those involved in the industry. Now, this report has been rather frank and surprising, considering everything that's come from the Japanese government, from many politicians, from regulatory agencies, and of course, Prime Minister Noda and his cabinet. This report points the finger directly at the nuclear industry and the Japanese Nuclear Regulatory Agency. It says that due to collusion between the nuclear industry and the regulatory agency, that the incident at the former Fukushima nuclear power plant was allowed to occur. They have come out and said very clearly this incident was man-made due to lack of safety standards happening, due to lack of independence by the Nuclear Regulatory Agency from the nuclear industry itself. As we all know, over the years, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has been filled with members directly from companies like TEPCO, companies like Kansai Electric, and others involved in the nuclear industry. Also, the report criticizes the Nuclear Regulatory Agency for another lack of independence from the same section of the government that's responsible for promoting nuclear power. The Nuclear Regulatory Agency is connected to that body. So basically, the same people who are responsible for promoting nuclear power in the government were also responsible for regulating it. So it comes as no surprise that we had a man-made nuclear disaster. Now, the report also goes on to not hold anyone accountable, not say any legal action should be taken against anybody, offers almost no suggestions for reform. It just points the finger and it says, these things happen because of this. But it says no one should be tried, investigated, or anything. It also goes on, as a way to deflect, again, responsibility and accountability. This report blames Japanese culture, saying that due to Japanese people adherence to obedience, hesitation to question authority, and general hesitation to stand up to anything, this was allowed to happen. A direct shot against the people of Japan. Now, I was looking for someone who would point that out, and I found it in most unlikely of places, the World Socialist website. I know, but let's hear them out. They have a very interesting piece. I'll put a link to that in the comment box, in the video description box below, where they basically say that no, this is not true. That you cannot blame the culture of Japan for this. You cannot blame the people of Japan for this, because for many years before this incident occurred, there have been many experts in Japan, many common people, who have been warning the Japanese government, the nuclear industry, and the regulatory agency, that the situation was bad, that there were corruption going on, that safety standards were far below par, that the nuclear power plants in Japan desperately needed to be upgraded and to be better taken care of and be watched more closely, and that radiation leaks were happening sporadically. For years and years and years, there were many people in Japan warning that one day there were going to be a major incident if things did not improve. And that's totally correct. So for this, the Japanese parliament to turn around, and the only people they choose to hold accountable are the people of Japan, is, quite frankly, disturbing. And the people of Japan have every right to be offended by that. Like I said, for years, and the Socialist World website points this out, surprisingly enough, that for years, nuclear experts in this country, nuclear professors, highly educated people, as well as the common person in Japan, was warning about this for years and years and years. And no one listened to them. And when we finally come out and get frank about it, and we say, yeah, we had a bad system, and they hold accountable the Japanese people and Japanese culture. This is the government of Japan, effectively, pointing a finger at their own people, when they're the ones who should be representing the people. So I also find out that to show even more the disconnect between the Japanese government and its own people. When they blame Japanese culture and blame the people of Japan, it clearly shows they feel they are not part of Japanese society. They are somehow removed and excused from it. They're not part of Japan. Clearly. And that is evident when you go to these protests and you see where the authorities come out. The authorities send in the police, and they refuse to answer the people's call to come out and speak to them, to engage in a conversation, which I've seen at these protests, where these people, the Japanese people, flood to the street and demand leaders to come to the street, stand on top of the police barricade if they need to, if they feel there's some danger, and speak to the Japanese people and answer the questions that they're having about this, and engage in conversation. And you see time and time again, through comments from some of the leaders and how they respond to this. Recently, Prime Minister Noda, when commented on one evening after leaving his office, where every Friday the people gather, protest, he said, "They're noisy, they're in my way." And we had the environmental minister, who was, when he was leaving the Oi reactor, complained that, "Why are these people here? They're in my way. Why are they bothering me?" It's clearly a disconnect. And that only fuels people's frustration in this country. It only fuels their anger. So, yes, one point here is that the government's being frank about the system has failed. And they're admitting this, that it's a man-made crisis. Here's why: we had collusion between the nuclear industry and the regulatory agency, lack of independence from the nuclear industry, and lack of independence from the same body of government that was responsible for promoting nuclear power. But yet when it comes time to say who's accountable, they blame the people of Japan. Okay. The nature of government and the nature of the social contract between government and people is that you represent the people. So when you look at who's accountable, the Japanese people put you in power to make sure something like this does not happen. It happened. So who is accountable? It's the TEPCO, which they did not blame at all. They let TEPCO off the hook. and the Japanese government itself. Those should be the people accountable here, clearly. And we should be looking at those people. The government, the parliament, should be looking at those people, but they're not. So, as many admissions as this report does reveal, it fails to make other admissions. So yes, it is a frank report. On the other hand, it's not. And this is not satisfying the people of Japan. Trust me, it's not. This isn't. It goes to a certain point, and then it stops and says, no, it's your fault, people of Japan. So yeah, I did want to make a video and cover this and break this down and analyze this. But as always, I want you to leave your comments in the comment box below. Give your take on it. If you wish to make a video response, tag it to this video, please do. And always, I do want to thank you so very much for watching these videos, spreading them around, and offering any support that you do offer to me. It means a lot to me. It allows me to keep doing this. So as always, this is me here, Ryan, in Tokyo, Japan. Until next time, check it out.